All right, today on the workbench we have an original Xbox, and this guy has no signs of life. You plug it in and you press the eject or the power button, and there's no lights that come on right here. This Xbox is obviously very special to whoever buys it. It's got hardware modifications, and they put like a crystal case on here, and they want this to work. So we're gonna get to work with that. First thing we gotta do is open it up and get the board out of there. So I paused my teardown here to show you something. The power supply is right through here. And before I even troubleshoot the power supply, we're going to replace these capacitors. These two look like they've already been replaced. But replacing these 5 is standard part of a power repair on an original Xbox. So since we're going to be replacing those anyway, and sometimes that solves the problem, we're going to replace these capacitors straight away and then see if that brings the console back to life. If it doesn't, then we'll start checking out the power supply unit. But we're going to pull this board out of here and drop these 5 capacitors and put brand new ones in. So here we have the motherboard out, and we're going to flip this over. And you need to be able to locate where the capacitors are. I'm just going to circle them with this marker. And that's for your reference. I know where they're at. You could go ahead and, well, here, that's a good screenshot moment right there. But anyway, I want to put the fume extractor on. What we're going to be doing is we're going to mix low melt removal solder into each of these, and that's going to make it really easy to remove the capacitors as well as wick the holes. So I'm just going to flux these up real quick. Low melt removal solder stays melted at a lower temperature, and that way you're able to heat both sides. I'll show you. Okay, I'm gonna put some on both sides of that. Now as I keep both sides heated, that capacitor is gonna wiggle right out from underneath. Boom. Okay, and I still have some low melt on my iron, so I should be able to do this one just as easily. Okay, that's gone. Now, while I still have some temperature on those spots, I'm going to wick them. What I found is that a desoldering gun does not work good for this, and trying to wick them out if you don't have the low melt on there proves to be difficult. So we just use the low melt, and then the holes usually clear just fine. This one's not, of course. So when it doesn't, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put more flux on there, and I'm going to put more of the low melt back on there, and just kind of hold that there, letting it mix alloys with the stuff that was on there, and then it should come up a lot better. Should, keyword. Okay, I want to skip that one for now. That's one of the ones that had been replaced, and I don't know what they did there. Might have solder build up on the other side. But let's move on to these ones. Okay. It should wick up. That one cleared. And that one cleared. Move on to the next one here. You could see the actual removal of these isn't hard. So if you're having a hard time, probably not using the best technique. I explored with a variety of techniques before I found that just using the removal solder made all the difference. It's probably good to wick the holes right after you remove it while there's still a little bit of surface temperature on the board there. I tell you, of all the through hole spots to desolder, I find that these are some of the most stubborn ones. I got another stubborn one right there. I'm gonna have to try to get them from the other side. Let's move on to this one. And I'm just kind of grabbing the capacitor on the other side with my fingers. Okay, that one cleared up good. Okay, I'm gonna clean up the mess here of flux and marker. Funny is this customer brought this one to us, and a lot of people bring us these things for recap service because it's good maintenance to do, but he brought it in and asked for a recap and didn't bother to tell us that it currently wasn't turning on. And so we always do a pre-inspection before doing repair, and we found that this one didn't turn on, and we had to let them know that a maintenance job is not a repair, and that we have to investigate further. So basically, if this recap doesn't solve the problem, then there's going to be additional fees. You got to be mindful of what you're asking people for when you come in for service. Is if you ask for a certain service and not a repair job, then you might only get that service and not the repair that you're seeking. You got to be careful not to be, doing if you're bringing it to a repair shop, you don't need to diagnose it. You just need to tell them what's going on. Oh shoot! Oh boy, I just put so much on there. Okay, oh brother. I just lost all that low melt. Anyway, the point I was making was I don't really think that a repair shop needs the customer to diagnose and tell them what kind of repair they need. I think just tell them what's wrong with it, not what you think it needs, and they'll take it from there. Making a mess of things. Oh, the last several of these I did not have stubborn solder in those holes. Okay, you can't even see because of the glare, but I'm gonna try and get that one. And it is just not clearing either one of these. Stupid. I do have ways to deal with this. I have a fine point grinding tool, I'm not gonna grind away the pad or anything. I'm just gonna get a spot where I can push the capacitor through. Okay, that one's good. I don't need to sit there and fight the solder. I just need to poke a hole so I can get a capacitor through. Okay, you need to know what capacitors we need. There it is. That's the rating for all 5 of them. So get yourself some of those, and that's what you're gonna need. Then the board is well labeled for the orientation of the capacitor. So we're just gonna put each of those through. I am one short here. Okay. Okay. You'll see on this side, I just kind of bent them all so that they would stay flat. And now all I need to do is solder those in. We'll give you a close-up view of that. I'm using a small pen here, but you could use a big one, don't matter. I'm not adding any flux because I'm using Kester solder, which has flux built into it. You could add flux, there's no problem with doing that. And you know, this is really easy. There's no advanced skill set really for this. The removal would be the difficult part, and putting in the new ones is super straightforward. If you need a little bit more heat, you just use a big iron. This one got the job done, so we're not worried about it. Now I need to know where my clippers are. Someone moved them. Okay, here they are. Come along and clip each one of these. Good idea to use different clippers for this type of clipping versus cutting jumper wire. So this is going to dent up the clippers, and then you won't be able to cut jumper wire. I've got several pairs of clippers around the workbench. Okay. Look at that. All done. I'm gonna put it back in the system and see if it powers on. Okay, now this is what we affectionately call the MOT. That stands for Moment of Truth. And let's plug a power cord in. and face this way, and power. All right, that's good. It's only partially way assembled because that's how we do in case we need to do additional work, but it's working. That's awesome. And so now we're going to put it back together and verify that it works all the way. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, I'm just finishing hooking up all the wires, and I'm going to need power. And if this works, we will see picture up on the screen. Oh, guess I need to plug the HDMI in. Haha. And they got service required. That looks like a hard drive problem. Sounds like trouble for the customer. I can't guarantee anything about their modded system and the hard drive error. So we fixed the power, and that's good. All done. So I want to give some context to why I say that sucks for the customer. And that is that I can't be... it's one thing if it were all stock and I needed to replace a hard drive and get that working. But with a modified system and whatever hacks and software programs that they put on there, possibly emulation, copying of video games, I can't be involved with that. So whatever they did, if their hard drive is malfunctioning, they're going to have to get a new hard drive and reinstall all that stuff because I can't touch it. I won't be involved with it.
Yeah, it's called the Executor 3.
Executor 3. Executor 3 modification. I solemnly swear everything's plugged in the way that it was originally. And they got a problem. So, sucks to be them. And for anyone following along, we did a little bit of research on the Executor mod and the error code 5, which means that the hard drive is what? Unlocked?
Unlocked.
And the original Xbox can't boot an unlocked hard drive, which shouldn't be a problem as long as the mod chip's working correctly. And of all places where I almost never find useful information, on Reddit, someone said, tap the on button really fast, basically spam the on button. So we went ahead and did that, and lo and behold, it seemed to bypass the boot sequence built into the Xbox and loaded up the hard drive, and everything's working good. So I'm just hopeful that that's a issue and workaround for which our customers aware of, and if they're not, then we will make them aware of it. And one last follow-up before we are totally done playing with this thing, because I don't see them real often. We discovered, and for maybe people who have modded Xboxes know this, I didn't. If you press the power button, that's where you run into an issue. If you turn it on with the eject button, it seems to work perfectly fine. And I'm sure that is something that the customer is aware of. So, hey, you learn something new every third day. Maybe today's your third day and you learned something new today.